Welcome, everyone, to Insights into the Weekly Haftorah. This week's Torah portion is Emor, and it discusses, at least at the beginning and a good part into the portion, laws regarding the Kohanim. It begins especially with the laws of when a family member of a Kohen dies, how they are supposed to act, especially if they're in active service in the temple, discusses who they are allowed to marry, and various laws of purity and impurity that have to do with the Kohanim, and a lot about different sacrifices, what is considered a blemish in a sacrifice. So it's all about the Kohanim, at least in the beginning of the Parsha. So the Haftorah, we would expect to be also about the Kohanim and the service. And so the Haftorah that is chosen is from Ezekiel, the 44th chapter. And here, Yechezkel is giving over a vision he has from God about how the service will be in the future temple. Now we have to remember that Yechezkel, he was exiled 10 years before the destruction of the temple. He was taken to Babylonia, and he prophesied outside of Eretz Yisrael. And they discuss this because the usual or the general principle is that prophecy, once we entered into Israel, was exclusively in Israel. And the answer is because he was already a prophet while in Israel. When he was taken to exile, he was able to prophesy even outside of the land. And so here he's giving over prophecies about the future. Now, the interesting thing is almost everyone understands that he's giving over instructions and laws and rules and measurements of the third temple, and yet he is before even the second temple. Nonetheless, it's understood that he's talking about the future third temple. And therefore, he goes through in this Haftorah many of the laws that regard the Kohen and will regard the Kohen. Many, in fact, almost all of them are the same as in the Torah. But in this Haftorah and in many other of his prophecies, his descriptions seem to contradict what is said in the Torah about the service of the Kohanim. And therefore, the Gemara in Masechet Menachot, and on page 45, discusses some of these contradictions. And in fact, some of these contradictions seemed so glaring, there was at a point thought of not including the book of Yechezkel in the 24 books of the Tanakh. In this 45th page of Menachot, they discuss, and some of the answers, they find answers to some of the contradictions. One of the explanations is that, and it's not given only here, is in the future, Eliyahu Navi will come and he'll reveal to us the answer. In other words, it's what's called teku. When they got to a point of a certain discussion and they couldn't come to a conclusion, or they didn't know what the proper conclusion was, so it was said that Eliyahu will come in the future and clarify this matter. So Rabbi Yehuda says the same thing here. In other words, we shouldn't think of not including the book of Yechezkel because there are these contradictions. We just don't understand them. In the future, Elijah the prophet will come and he will explain it. Rabbi Yossi gives a little bit of a different answer, and he says that much of what is the contradictions, and again, I have to emphasize that most of it are not contradictions, but some of them seem like it. And so he mentioned, and a lot of it had to do with the inauguration of the third temple. And so he points out that when Ezra dedicated the second temple, they also did things a little bit differently than what's recorded in the Torah. And that wasn't considered a problem because it was a one-time thing. So they said, there's two. In the time of the Mashiach, when we will have the third temple, he's describing a vision of what the inauguration will be like then. And some of the sages like that answer very much. But then the Gemara says something very, very interesting. It says that Baruch Hashem, thank God for one of the sages, Hanina ben Chizkiyahu. He said, if it wasn't for him, they might have hidden the book of Yechezkel. Now we have to understand that Yechezkel prophesied approximately 5 to 5.5 years before the Common Era. And the decision of which books would be included in the Tanakh was made hundreds of years after Yechezkel. So they knew of the book and they studied it. But at a certain point, when they were deciding which of the 24 books would go into the final version of the Tanakh, the Bible, there was a question whether Yechezkel should be included. And so this sage, it says that he took 300 barrels of oil and he went up to a high attic, and he poured over the text until he could solve all of the contradictions. And he revealed it to the sages, and they were satisfied that he was able to explain the contradictions between Yechezkel's vision and what's written in the book of Yechezkel and what was written in the Torah regarding the Kohanim. And so there's a lot of discussion. First of all, what does it mean that he took up 300 barrels of oil? You have to remember that's how they lit the rooms, is with oil lamps. So here we see it's clear that this is a symbolic number that is representing a lot. In other words, he was in this attic for a long time, trying to find the way to make the book of Yechezkel work and that it wouldn't be a contradiction. And so this is very similar, like we have the expression Shivim Panim LaTorah, 70 faces to the Torah. Well, it doesn't mean exactly 70. It's a symbolic number for many, many perspectives of the Torah. So that's how they understand the number 300. But what's interesting is that this number comes up many, many, many times in Jewish tradition. And they would use the term that there are 300 halachot about a certain matter. But it doesn't mean halacha the way we usually translate it, mean laws. It means there were 300 perspectives, 300 ideas connected to a certain concept. So one of them is that Rebbe Meir, one of the great sages, he told 300 parables about foxes. Just like, let's say you have Aesop's fables that used animals to give over a certain ideas, symbolic ideas, metaphors. So Rebbe Meir had 300 parables about foxes. Another one says there are 300 halachot about a migdal poreach ba'avir, a tower flying through the air. Some say that what it's really talking about is the letter Lamed. The letter Lamed is the tallest of the letters, but this idea of a tower flying through the air is very symbolic in of itself. But there were 300 perspectives of, we'll call it a higher reality, higher level of consciousness. Then we have the idea that there were 8 kings that ruled in Edom before there was a king in Israel. And the first 7 says, the Torah says they ruled and they died, they ruled and they died, they ruled and they died. The 8th king, it mentioned his name was Hadar, and it mentions his wife was Mehetavel, and it does not mention that he died. And so the Arizal put tremendous emphasis on this very abstruse part of the Torah, and explains that this is the story of what's called the breaking of the vessels, Shvirat Kelim. And the 7 kings that ruled and died were the 7 Sfirot in the world of Tohu that broke, could not contain the original light of creation. But the 8th king, it mentions his wife. None of the other kings mentions that they were married. And so this indicates a state of rectification, of a future state of rectification. So one of the 300s is there are 300 halachas about the verse that says, and the name of his wife was Mehetavel, because this was considered a very, very deep, profound Kabbalistic secret. So there were 300. So all of this is explaining this idea that this sage took 300 barrels of oil in order to find that there were no contradictions in the book of Ezekiel. And so here we see another thing that the sages bring down, that this attic becomes very, very famous because it became a meeting place for the sages. And one particular meeting place was considered very significant, and that is, and it's written up in the Tractate of Shabbat, that this is when there was Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, 2 different schools of thought. And one time in the process of their establishing the halacha for all generations, many sages gathered this one particular time, and the sages of Shammai outnumbered the sages of Hillel, and they were able to enact 18 different enactments where the opinion of Beit Shammai overruled the opinion of Beit Hillel, because in general we go according to Beit Hillel. But here the Mishnah and Gemara discuss this in great length, what happened that evening. So this very tall attic becomes very, very famous in Jewish history. So that is a little bit about the underpinnings of this Haftorah that one might not catch by just reading it. And so I try to give a little bit of the history of not only this Haftorah, but other matters of the Kohanim that Ezekiel predicted for the future. May we see the rebuilding of the 3rd temple.